Hello, this is Dr. Evelyn Hill with Shades in Justice podcast. Hey, we're so excited you decided to stop by. Hey, you can catch us every Wednesday evening, 8:30 Central Standard Time or 9:30 Eastern Time. We want to see you right here at Positive Power Christian Radio. Again, this is Dr. Evelyn Hill with Shades in Justice podcast, a chance where you can hear about justice and injustices here in our country. Again, Dr. Evelyn Hill with Shades in Justice podcast. Hello and welcome to Shades in Justice podcast. Hey, I'm your host, Dr. Evelyn Hill, and you can always catch me at www.drevelynhill.net. Oh my goodness, we have such an awesome interviewee on today. We have Dr. Donnetta Watson. And I'm going to let her tell you the name of her organization that she's over, and we'll just kind of go from there. Welcome, Dr. Donnetta Watson. We are so excited to have you with us on this morning.
Thank you, Dr. Evelyn. I am honored to be here with you. It's been a journey, and I'm excited to connect with you on this journey. So I am the founder of the Black MasterMind Group, and we are an entrepreneurial resource and training center. We teach entrepreneurs in the urban cores across America how to create and establish and maintain a sustainable business model. And that's our mission. We work predominantly in the urban cores with Black entrepreneurs, but our classes are open to anyone who really understands their lack of knowledge of the financial side of business. And so we've been on this journey for now 4 years and very excited for the results that we see happening and impacting entrepreneurs.
Well, Dr. Watson, congratulations on the work that you've already done and the work that you continue to do for those who are looking for opportunities in entrepreneurship and really understanding how to run your business. I've had my own business for a while and have not been nearly as successful as I'd like to be because of some of the nuances I have discovered of late, even just talking to you, that I need to do to really benefit from being an entrepreneur. So tell us a little bit about your background, your family, and how did you get to where you are today?
I'll start with the family. I'm 46-year married woman. And
wow, congratulations.
Yes. And so mother of three, I have three amazing daughters that are absolutely brilliant and so proud of them and can't wait to see them working with me in this organization. But I got one of them working with me. And so I'm born and raised here in Wyandotte County in Kansas City, Kansas, and went out into the business world. I knew I was an entrepreneur deep down inside, but I knew I also needed education and training. So I went back to school and completed up to a master's degree before I really got serious into business. And I worked as a management statistician for the federal government, was initially hired with the Census Bureau, and then became an independent contractor for CDC under the Census Bureau, managed medical research studies in 6 states, and on average had over 200 staff on my team across those states. And it was a very rewarding but very intense job. I traveled a lot. But the thing that I took away from that blessed me the most was being able to see an organization from the top down. Being in the seat of a manager, running 3 research projects, each with a budget of $1.5 million concurrently, that gave me a lot of insight into business. And then I went back to school, to get a degree in business with Joseph Business School from Dr. Bill Winston. And that's when I really owned my entrepreneurship. And I knew that there was a time that I was going to get to be a full-time entrepreneur. So I prepared for it. I started saving money early off because I knew that it was going to take money to run a business successfully, and saved an awful lot of money, over $150,000. And then one day the boss came in and said the office was closing nationwide. The government closed 6 offices, and Kansas City was one of the ones they closed. And when I heard him say that, I heard the Holy Spirit say, now it's time you can do this. Because I've been waiting for that opportunity to quit that job and start my business full time. And that created the opportunity. I took my severance package, I took all of my money, and I went head first into entrepreneurship. And 5 years later, during COVID, I went back and worked on a doctorate degree, finished those requirements. And during COVID, everything became real as for why I was on the journey I was on. The number of Black businesses that closed in the first 90 days of COVID was staggering. And at the initial point, they were saying an estimate of 40% of Black businesses closed. It actually is 44% of the 2.4 registered documented businesses. And I did the math again. That's 1,050,000 businesses closed permanently.
Wow.
Now, post-COVID, we have over 3 million Black businesses in the marketplace. And my concern is that those 4 million people who didn't go back to work post-COVID, almost 2 million of those became entrepreneurs in the Black community. And what I'm seeing is that we are not really running stable, sustainable businesses. We're still running hobbies, hookups, and hustles. And that will cause that 3 million businesses between 18 to 3 years will be out of the marketplace. Over half of those businesses will be closed because we haven't, as a community, adopted running businesses with capital. We still are running them with cash, which is the most dangerous place you can be in on your entrepreneurial journey.
And I think probably many new business owners may believe that the best route to take when you're starting a business is to use cash. We're told don't use credit. We're told, you don't want to borrow money. You don't want to do this. And you go get an SBA loan, small business loan. They don't. So you just use your cash.
Absolutely.
So help us with a mindset that we need to take.
Well, I did the same thing because I grew up in the environment where all debt's bad debt and a borrower is a slave to the lender. I grew up hearing that and in our culture, Black people, we are taught from the time we got $1 to rub in our fingers. Don't you go borrow any money from anybody. Right. We're taught that. But in our personal life, absolutely, that's the right strategy in our personal lives. And that's why we call it entrepreneurial financial literacy, because the world is teaching financial literacy. But they're trying to get us to use personal strategies for business. So in business, debt is a tool. It's a strategy that's necessary. In business, you do not come to the table rolling out quarters, nickels, dimes, and dollars. They know you don't know anything about business when you come to the table with cash. So in business, we use debt. And I really want to bring it home to our community because business is a capitalistic endeavor. And on this journey, you're going to need capital. So our loan manager created this, we've always called it the road to capital. That's what we're training people to get on the road to capital. She uses this analogy, and I'm going to borrow it today, that if you're planning a trip to go from California to Kansas City or Kansas City to California, you're going to need to figure out how many miles you're going to drive and how many tanks of gas you're going to need, because that's how much you're going to need to be prepared for. Every part of that journey, every so many hours, you're going to have to stop and get gas. The same thing is what it takes in running a business. Capital is the gas for the vehicle that's going to get you to your end destination. But we've been told to do this without it. And so when we do, we're counting our quarters, nickels, and dimes. How much gas you're going to be able to get before you're out of cash?
Mm-hmm.
And what generally happens is that we run out of money before we're able to even get the business to become stable.
Mm-hmm.
In the first 3 years of business operations, you're in startup. All you're doing is trying to figure this thing out.
Mm-hmm.
But the second 3 years of business, you're trying to stabilize what you've created. And you can't do that on cash because there are things you're going to need to implement that's going to add to your operating costs so you can create stability.
Mm-hmm.
This is where we get snagged. So we make it on average, our cash will last 18 months. And in the Midwest are communities that have real winners. We don't make it past our first winter. Our doors are barely open because we saw a decline in customers during the winter months, and we didn't recover from that. And 6 to 9 months later, we still haven't recovered. And before we go into another winter, our doors are closed.
Wow.
That's traditionally what happens.
Yeah, those are some amazing statistics. I like what you pointed out that prior to COVID, we had over 3 million
2.4.
Black, 3.4 million, 2.4
yes,
million entrepreneurs that were Black. And then after COVID, it was down to 1 million.
Yeah, a little bit over 1 million left in the marketplace. In actuality, it was 1,100,000 was the first data when they were saying was 40%. But post-COVID, they've calculated it's 44% of the doors closed. That's almost half.
Wow.
But almost half of all the Black businesses across the nation closed their doors permanently.
Wow.
With all of the funding initiatives the government put out, our doors still closed and stayed.
Wow. So was that due to just a lack of customers, just a lack of marketing, just a lack of vision, seeing ahead of time?
Nope.
Just
it was COVID. COVID caused business doors to be closed for 3 months, and in some areas longer, because of, especially on the East Coast, it was a much longer period of time their doors were closed. And when they did reopen the doors, many of those businesses couldn't reopen. When you go 90 days without revenue, rent still due every month, lights, gas, phone, insurance, all of that still due. All those accounts that they had to pay were still due. And they were not able to pay their expenses. So their option was to shut the business down. And that's what happened. And a lot of the rescue plan programs that they had out for COVID did not allow the Black community to participate. Number one, PPP was for individuals with employees. 96% of all Black businesses in the marketplace had 0 employees. Only 4% of the Black businesses in the marketplace had employees. So the first round of PPP funding required you to have employees. If you didn't have them, you weren't going to get any money. So what happened? Doors closed. Also, it required you to, when you filed these documents, you needed to have some financial reports. You needed to have some documentation. Predominantly, Black business owners do not have financial reports or documentation of what's going on in their business and their sales, their revenue, their profit. We haven't been very good stewards of the numbers and tracking those numbers. So consequently, they were running around trying to create reports, missed out on the opportunities, didn't have employees, couldn't access PPP. Now, the second round of PPP funding was available for those who had independent contractors, because we predominantly hire independent contractors. But it required you to turn in financial reports. Our community didn't have the capacity at that time to get those financial reports for the periods of time they were asking. So again, we didn't apply for the money. And so the money remained out there. A lot of the COVID relief funds were not used by Black entrepreneurs.
Wow. Well, can you explain what is PPE? You told us they couldn't get the PPE funding. What does that stand for?
It was payroll protection plan. So if you had employees, it would give you a percentage of your employee payout in a lump sum payment so that you can keep your employees working post-COVID.
So this was kind of like another systemic hiccup in our society that alienated people of color.
Absolutely.
That had businesses. So it was another injustice systemically.
It was a huge error on Small Business Administration's part. And I was interviewed during that time and brought it to their attention. One of the small business organizations interviewed me, and I said, now you created something that created another disparity. You created a program that required individuals to have employees. You didn't look at your own stats, because your own documentation reports that 96% of Black entrepreneurs have no employees. But you created a program for people with employees. We don't have employees. So you just created another disparity. You didn't review your own data.
Yes, thank you for saying that. And what I remember after COVID, it was all the big organizations.
Yes.
The chains across the country. They got millions of dollars.
Yes, absolutely. And they didn't have to pay it back. The initial COVID relief dollars, EIDL, must be paid back. And some of the smaller companies got $1,000. We got $1,000, and we have to pay $1,000 back. We're still getting them wonderful little letters. We need to pay that money back. But the major companies received PPP funding, and that funding did not have to be paid back.
That is amazing. If we think about this, taking it to another level, say my organization was one of the big chains across the country. And during COVID, a lot of my employees left. They never came back. But I still was able to bank the money, the PPP funding from the federal government. I was able to make myself richer. I'm already rich. I never had to stop paying my bills or anything because I was already in a good financial status. But now I'm even in a better place because I got those federal funds. Oh my goodness.
Absolutely. And there were no requirements on the size of your company. There was no requirements on how much profit you had in the bank. It was no requirements. And so all of the large major companies went right to PPP money, and they were able to get millions of dollars of money, where predominantly the Black entrepreneurial community, which it was supposed to be an initiative for the minority community of businesses who felt the greatest disparity as a result of COVID. But big business got in line and went after the money and got the money. Now, some major companies like the basketball teams that went after, they had to pay it back because, just their conscience should have hit them hard after getting that money. But what happened? The money still didn't make it to the people who the dollars were for. I think the federal government missed a wonderful opportunity because what they should have done was had tax advisors, accountants, financial people to be at locations for people to get their documents in order and then submit. Opening it up as a free for all. Always the strongest is going to make it in the front of the line, and the
Yes.
weak are going to be in the back of the line. And
Yeah.
we were in the back of the line. And
Again.
as always, which I said to SBA, created another disparity. You all didn't watch your own data. You do these studies annually to see the condition of businesses and small business. Shame on you for not reading your own reports, because I read them.
Wow. Amazing. Well, it's always so good talking to you, because I always learn so much about what's going on. And I'm sure our audience is learning a lot of good information from you too. What are at least 3 things you envision for those who take the classes of the Black MasterMind Group?
Yes, our bootcamp class is geared to provide our community with a really good understanding of the financial side of business. Now, like I said earlier, I was in that same pathway of running a business with cash. I went through $350,000 of my money that I took 14 years to save, plus my severance package, when I started running my business, because I only knew the cash route. And it wasn't until I became a lender that I learned, oh my God, I never would have qualified for capital myself because of how I was running the business. I didn't know all these things. Again, I was teaching business school when I found out these things. I was teaching college level business classes and realized what we were teaching was incomplete. We did not touch the financial side. I love my school, love what it stands for, but we did not do the level of immersion that we do in this program to teach, to demystify cash flow, well, demystify budgeting,
Yes,
creating a monthly and annual budget, cash flow, profit projections, balance sheet, profit and loss statement. Those 5 documents you're going to need anytime you try to do anything in your business. Move it to the next level, get an investor, get a grant, become a government contractor, minority supplier, whatever you try to do in business, you need those 5 documents. And because we don't know about them, we are at a disadvantage.
Well, thank you for sharing that. So, in other words, when we go to get a loan, an SBA loan, we cannot just go in there with a vision. You can't
absolutely
say,
not.
You know, I want to run a construction business, and I want this and I want that.
And you're not even going to get to go and even talk to anybody about a loan, because let me tell you, there's no startup money for entrepreneurs. Now, there are micro dollars available, but no bank is going to give any business endeavor any money in startup. You must be in no small business loan, no bank loan, no startup dollars. No, that was something that began in the 80s, 70s, and 80s. And then they realized that entrepreneurs, the businesses were failing at such a high rate that it was too risky to give money before they proved the vision. And so now you cannot access capital for 2 to 3 years after the business has been open and the business is maintaining substantial revenues. And substantial revenues, which I just found out about a month or so ago, is now $14,000 to $16,000 monthly. That's substantial. Now,
$14,000 to $16,000
a month is substantial revenues. And so it was now I've been an entrepreneur over 38 years. So back in the day, 2 to 4,000 was a big amount. Then it went 4 to 6, 6 to 8, 8 to 10. And it stayed at 10 to 12,000 for a very long time. Just a month ago, I was told by the branch office for the lending group that I was part of that it is $16,000 a month is a high point. So how many of our Black entrepreneurs are running business endeavors that is bringing in $16,000 a month? These are reasons why we are, again, 87% of Black entrepreneurs have never qualified for capital. And oftentimes they've never even tried because they already see their credit scores, which knocks them out of eligibility. When your personal credit score and your business credit score now is combined, they review both to make a decision. It used to be back in the day, only the business score was reviewed, but now it's personal and business. There's a lot of reasons why 2008 housing bubble caused a lot of things, Congress to change a lot of things in the lending arena. So 2 years and most will say 3 of business operations and substantial revenue and profit in the bank. You won't be able to touch a loan without those 3 requirements. So we think they talk to you a lot about credit score, credit score, credit score. But if you don't have the whole role, the whole package, your credit score means absolutely nothing. If you've not been in business long enough and you're running a business that is cash poor, your credit score means absolutely nothing. So I worked with entrepreneurs when I was a lender that were $1 to $5 million in revenue. And they were extremely upset because they couldn't qualify for a loan because lenders don't care how much money you earn. They could care less about how much you earn if you are cash poor. So if you're bringing in $1 million annually and you spend $999,999.99 every year, you will never qualify for a business loan. So we now are causing our entrepreneurs to take their focus off of how much money you got coming in because our chest sticks out real big, $100,000. And so I have to, I'm a Band-Aid snatcher. So I'm going to snatch the Band-Aid off and say, yeah, but what you got in the bank?
Ouch.
What's in the bank account? And
wow.
That's why we are non-fundable. We've only been looking at revenue, what we earn. We haven't looked at how we operate the business and that therefore there's nothing left over after the month is over. And after the year, when you sit down, you tell IRS you didn't produce a profit, that you had a loss, and then we want a loan. And there's so many factors that we are not aware that are impacting our ability to access capital. Hey, I went through the same thing. I thought I was good. First 9 months, our business was making $150,000. But we were in a community that we had winter. 4 to 6 months of every year, our revenues went to a fourth of what we on average brought in. My operating budget was $25,000 in peak, 10 to 15 in non-peak, and I'm only bringing in a fourth of that, $3,000, $4,000 a month. I couldn't keep them doors open, so I kept going back to my savings, and every year I was pulling out $4,000 or $5,000 a month every year. And you do that for 3 or 4 years, you ain't got no money left in the bank.
Oh, my. And let me just share with you, not too many of us have 350,000 anywhere, not even in our thought process, period. We don't even have it. So you started out way ahead.
But it still hurt when it was gone.
Yeah, it still hurt. Gone. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That's what we're trying to prevent entrepreneurs from going down that pathway. We all are a heavily church community here in the Midwest. And so we live by the word. We honor the words of our pastors and teachers in the pulpit. We believe we're doing the right things. In our personal life, they are 100% correct. But many of them are not business people. And many of them have never owned an entrepreneurial endeavor. And consequently, the information we're getting is for our personal life, and it's not for business because business is capitalistic and it requires capital, gas in the car. And on this journey, you're not just going to need dollars at startup. You're going to need dollars every time you want to move the business. You're going to need capital. So we teach how to structure an organization that you can qualify for capital every 3 years that you're going to need to move the business. After startup, you're going to stabilize. How do we stabilize an organization? Oftentimes, we're going to have to add more employees. You can borrow money for 90 days to, on average, max is 6 months of payroll. So you can use capital to hire people, get them started in your company to where they are beginning to produce results and add value to your company. You can use capital to take care of that. Marketing dollars, stabilizing the company, maybe increasing your marketing spend and putting your reach a little further. That's extra cost that you didn't have in your budget. And so we, on average, do not market our businesses efficiently or effectively. And we earn $28,000 to $30,000 less than our counterparts because they use marketing. We traditionally only use advertising. So you can borrow money to hire a marketing firm that will end up producing results for you and increase your revenues. So stabilizing the company costs you more money. Those are things you get capital for. Next level, sustainability. Sustainability in the business is creating all of those strategies and structure that the business will be able to stay strong and then begin to grow. That costs money. You get capital to do that. So what we normally do is we have business model A, and we have revenue that comes in that meets our operating cost. And then we try to grow, or we start adding people and things. What are we doing? We're depleting all of our revenue, and we're depleting profit. So we're cash poor. Can't qualify for capital. You're cash poor. But I reinvested all my dollars back into the business. I hired more people. I bought more equipment. I added more supplies. I did all those things they told me to do, but you're not supposed to do it with cash. So you're non-fundable. Then we get to sustainability, and we start doing our structure, our research, and our analysis, and getting all things lined up to start the growth cycle. It costs money to do that. And so when we start setting those things up, we start using profit, or we end up committing revenue for business model or design or project A to grow B. And then we end up depleting A and B both close. That's what happens because you're not to do it with cash.
Cash. Wow. Well, I'm going to, yes, thank you so much. We've got about 3 minutes left, and I did not want to get off the call today without you talking about the youth entrepreneurship program.
Yes. Oh, really quick. We teach children the same thing we teach adults. If we get a 14-year-old and turn him on to business or her on to business and teach them about money and how you maneuver with money, in 10 years, they should be millionaires. And they'll be 24 years old, and they will have 50 years to turn this world upside down and own it.
Love that.
That's why it's so important. I realize we're teaching 40, 50, and 60-year-olds, and we've had a couple of 70 and 80-year-olds in the program. They have very little time to impact our community and make change. I realize that if we can get kids turned on to the thought of owning their own companies and being entrepreneurs, they have a lifetime to change things and to hire people that look like them and to create something that's going to impact the community. And that's our mission, is to get more kids on this entrepreneurial journey, that they understand money and the financial side of the business. And then they go beyond just making a living for themselves. They go to the point of creating jobs and opportunities and changing their community and being an impact and a voice in the community. That's what entrepreneurship does for a community. And our people need that transformation in our community.
Oh, that's so awesome. And it's exciting for our young people that they have an opportunity to learn. I actually love the name of your organization, Black MasterMinds Group. That is just so awesome. And before we leave, I'd love for you to share your website information. How can we get in touch with you? Email address, all of that.
Well, it's easy. It's the blackmastermindgroup.com. The blackmastermindgroup.com. If you want information about the bootcamp program, it is online. Go to the website, check it out. If you want, be interested in finding out how you can take bootcamp classes, you can get on our wait list. We have scholarship dollars. We're in multiple cities across the nation, but the majority of our work and our grants and our scholarships are for Kansas City businesses. And Kansas businesses particularly, but we have scholarship dollars that come from across the nation. And so you must go to the website and get on our wait list. Everyone is interviewed before you can come into the class. We make scholarship eligibility requirements there, and that's how you get into the boot camp. We are here to serve our communities across the nation. And again, no matter what race or ethnicity you are, you're welcome to join us. We've taught individuals that are white, Black, Hispanic, Asian, Middle Eastern. We know that entrepreneurship will change our whole world. And we want to get as many people in the seat of that opportunity as possible. So go to our website, look for us. You can email us at info@theblackmastermindgroup.com.
Thank you, Miss Donnetta Watson. What a awesome opportunity that we have heard on entrepreneurship on today. Thank you. And thank you to our listeners. Please reach out to Black MasterMind Group and figure out how you can become involved with them if you like classes or to learn some new skills or to brush up on your knowledge base concerning entrepreneurship. It will not be a waste of your time. As you can tell, this group is very knowledgeable, and we're excited they're here in Wyandotte County. Thank you again. And to our listening audience, thank you again for checking us out at Shades in Justice Podcast. All right, until next time, bye-bye. Hey, thanks for being at our show on tonight. This is Dr. Evelyn with Shades in Justice Podcast. Another great evening to be alive. Hey, this is Positive Power Christian Radio. Dr. Evelyn with Shades in Justice Podcast. Hey, see you next time. You can meet me every Wednesday at 8:30 Central Standard Time or 9:30 Eastern Standard Time right here at Positive Power Christian Radio. See you next time. Bye.